I'm Lawrence Chard. Welcome to our Chards Coin and Bullion dealer channel. My wife Jane and I had an exciting week last week. I'll give you a very quick summary of the highlight events. First, week last Sunday, I made over 1.1 billion. The next day, the Monday, we set out for our first visit to our new Hatton Garden London office. Also our first formal LBMA meeting, our induction, followed quickly by our first UK LBMA members dinner, which is the first one they've ever held. We had a rare visit by us to the Royal Mint Museum. I learned something new about Brockages, and we'll spell that out for you on screen because it's not Blockages. I saw a gold sovereign which I did not know existed, and I got a second dose of COVID. So, okay, that's what I'm going to talk about. As I'm still COVID positive, we're shooting this video by a Teams meeting with my home desk. The headphones and the mic I've got are okay, but strangely enough, we found the sound's coming through the video cam microphone, which is perfectly good. The camera itself is a rather basic wide-angle webcam, but at least it's much better than a lot of other people use. So here we go, Sunday the 30th of June. Now, I already told you I made more than 1.1 billion. Now, before you get too excited or jealous or fall off your seat, this was not pounds, it wasn't even dollars. It was actually points on a James Bond Dr. No pinball machine. Now, I'm sorry if this was a bit of a clickbaity bit of stuff I threw in there. We'll show you a photo of me score on it, actually. And to some people, that might sound sad or a bit weird or unusual. I've played pinball since I was a young lad. Ever since I was a young boy, I've played the silver ball. That's enough of that. You don't want any more of me singing. That sounds terrible. But I did get such a great buzz out of that achievement, as I've been trying to beat the 1 billion target on that machine for many months now. That was Sunday. So Monday, yep, we started work. Jane and I drove down towards London. We did it in 2 hops. Originally, we were planning to drop off to see Metalor in Birmingham, who we've been dealing with for quite a few decades, 30 or 40 years now, I think. What I hadn't realised is 2 of their top guys were actually coming up here to Blackpool, visiting us that day. That didn't work out. Anyway, I said we don't nowadays try and do London in one go. It's too long a drive. We're getting a bit too long in the tooth. So we'd already booked into Goldstone Hall in Shropshire, which is a very nice country house hotel. And that was enough travelling for that day. Tuesday, jumped back in the car and we had what seemed like quite a long drive down to Richmond, west of London, where we also stayed in another nice hotel, the Petersham. Interesting highlights on the long, boring journey there. After we pulled into Oxford Services, I spotted a large bird flying in the sky, obviously, nearby, and it was big. We both more or less instantly identified it as a red kite, which is, that's official Latin name, milvus. And that was quite exciting. Also, we ended up seeing 10 minutes down the road, we saw perhaps half a dozen, and we kept seeing them for quite a lot of the journey that day. It is exciting. Many people perhaps don't know, some will, that they were nearly extinct in the UK, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, something like that. We've had a breeding program. So originally we had a Zoom induction meeting as guinea pigs, by the way, scheduled with the LBMA. but they very helpfully, oh, that was due to be on the Tuesday while we were travelling, but they very helpfully changed it to Wednesday afternoon so we could actually call in early and do it in person at their offices. And perhaps at this stage, for those who don't know, I should mention that the LBMA is the very prestigious London Bullion Market Association. It was set up basically on the request of the Bank of England back in 1987, and it does have amongst its members some very big names on the financial scene. I won't go into listing them now. We'll talk about it some other day. So it's London Bullion Market Association, and not the Clantrison and Blackpool Motoring Adventure, as I've tried to relabel it. So Wednesday morning, got to Richmond Tube Station to find out there were no tubes running on the line we needed to get to Bank. So we started to experience what probably most Londoners have been going through for months and months now, rail disruption and strikes and all sorts of stuff. Having said that, not too bad. We got a mainline train to Waterloo, and then a very nice, easy tube to Bank Tube Station, which is almost on the doorstep of the Bank of England, and it's what it's named after. We dumped our bag at the hotel, which was the Threadneedle's Marriott Autograph Collection. Actually very conveniently located for both our LBMA meetings, but I wouldn't actually recommend it. It's supposed to be 5-star. I reckon you could find better hotels in Blackpool, and that's saying something. And in Blackpool, you'd pay less than a quarter of a fifth of the price. So, dumped the bags. We got a tube to Chancery Lane, and we nipped round the corner to our new London office, which will be at number 100 Hatton Garden. Hatton Garden, of course, is very famous. And I've actually been in that building quite a number of times over the past 50 years, but never seen our new office. It actually houses the London Diamond Bourse, and they're on the first floor, the same as us, so we're very near neighbours. Of course, I used to visit other places in Hatton Garden, including Johnson Matthey Bankers Limited, who used to be just along the road. Up till now, we've been leaving all the hard work to the kids, as I call some of the younger folk on our team. And that's why Jane and I hadn't actually seen the office itself. Sure, we've been briefed at almost every stage. We've seen videos, graphics of how it would look, floor plans, but it's not the same as a personal visit. One of our great team members was there sitting in her corner, and that's Natalie, who's always got a big beaming smile on her face. So it's very nice to have seen where she works and where I'll be doing some work on the odd occasions when I'm down there once or on our way back. We made a semi-social visit to one of the local Hatton Garden jewellers. These are people who are customers of ours. They've visited us in Blackpool, and they've also given us a lot of help and encouragement in finding our new local home. And they are only just a few doors along from our front door. After that, we after a nice cup of tea as well, we headed back to got the tube back to number 5 Threadneedle Street, our hotel. We managed to check in because we were too early before. We freshened up, got changed, dashed across the road, and that was probably about 50 yards to the LBMA office at number 62 Threadneedle Street. There we got a very cordial reception. We met a number of their team. We were offered some cordial, but I think we had tea instead. Then we started our scheduled 45-minute induction briefing. It actually lasted about 90 minutes. Did I say we were guinea pigs for that? So we did survive it. We also chatted with CEO, and that's Edward Blight, and I have to mention to him that the name Stuart Murray had been evading me for months and months, and I was handed a copy of the Alchemist magazine, which features a memorial page or two for him because he died only a few months ago. But it was Stuart that was my main contact way back in late 1999 or early 2000 when we first thought about joining the LBMA and we first discussed it. And I'm sure, well, we had correspondence, but we also had some chats on the phone. And I remember Stuart, who was our CEO, was very keen for us to join up. We didn't do it at the time. We actually did work on it for other reasons, but it's only 25 years later. We are now members, some of the newest members. So there you go. After that, we dashed back to our hotel, got ready to go out for dinner, which was actually next door, number 60 Threadneedle Street, the M restaurant. Is that back to James Bond again? I don't know. So 6 o'clock meeting for drinks. I think it was shown as being cocktails, but we didn't have cocktails. And that was quite nice. Most of that time was spent in a networking thing. We got intros to most of the other 9 UK LBMA members who were present, and that actually included the Royal Mint plus the LBMA staff team. I won't go into the list of all the other people. I did one of my famous faux pas there, because when I'd been introduced, and Jane and I had also been introduced to the others, I forgot a face and a name I know quite well. I pointed at this guy and meant, what is this? And somebody told me, and that actually got quite a laugh, quite a bit of amusement from the other guests. And I'm not quite sure whether I didn't recognise David, but he hadn't got his better-looking colleague Francis with him on that occasion. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So 7 o'clock came around very quickly. So we sat down to dinner. Dinner was a very nice meal. The best of it, though, was we were able to chat to some of our fellow members, at least the ones on our end of the table. And that was quite nice because there were 2 people at that end from big refiners whose names I have heard, but I'm pretty sure neither of them have we dealt with before or really had much interaction with, but they are actually amazingly big. I think one of them's got about 9 branches or refineries in the USA, so you're talking about major players in the world gold market that most people have never even heard of. So we had an early finish. In fact, the 2 guys from the Royal Mint had to leave early, I mean almost straight after dinner, because they had to catch the last train home because there was some more industrial action, and otherwise they'd have either had to drive or stay overnight, and there you go. And the rest of us finished dinner, had a bit more of a chat. We managed to chat to the people at the other end of the table, some of our competitors and fellow members. Nobody had too much to drink, which is interesting, isn't it? And we packed in just after about 10 o'clock and managed to get an early night. Just as well, because we still had a busy day on Thursday. Thursday morning, woke up and I felt I was starting with a cold, which was... but there you go. So we wolfed some breakfast down. We had to get the tubes back to Richmond, collect our car, and then set off for Llantrithon. And I've forgotten how many miles it is, but it just seems to be a long drive, and there's always roadworks and there's always delays. So anyway, that meant that we weren't going to have enough time to meet up with the Royal Mint bullion sales teams or some of the other people. So we deferred that meeting till the next day. We managed to get a rest, and we had a very nice Welsh lamb dinner at Hatton Vineyard. I probably haven't pronounced that right. And we were also staying there. Interestingly, despite it being just around or close to the Royal Mint, they don't take cash. I'm sure that will probably annoy and surprise some people who well, coin collectors and possibly some conspiracy theorists. As it happens, we weren't intending to pay them cash, so no problem. But I really do think it's better when it's an option. What else did we do on Thursday? We voted, not, I may say, in the parliamentary general election in our constituency of Blackpool, Norfolk, Cleveland, but on 2 LBMA governance motions, which they really wanted to get the voting numbers up on, so we managed to do that amazingly as new members. So Friday morning came out, and by now I definitely felt like I had a cold, so I made sure that I avoided handshakes all day and tried not to get into too close a contact with anybody. We got to the Royal Mint fairly early. We met up with Ali. She is our sort of designated bullion sales contact at the Royal Mint. She took us through security, but first she said, you can't take in any coins or anything else, or lots of can't take phones, can't take just a whole list of other things. We said, well, we're not going into the production bit, we're going into the museum. So we managed to smuggle 2 gold coins into the mint. I think we shocked Ali because she didn't think that was allowed to actually take gold coins into the mint, and I think perhaps a lot of people don't do that very commonly. So we had to leave one building and one secure compound and then find ourselves at another big gate, and I had to call Dr. Kevin Clancy, who's the museum director, and he came to the door and let us in through their security gates. We have met Dr. Kevin, can I call him, before. It was quite a few years ago. It was very briefly. One of the first things I wanted to do was to show Dr. Kevin our 2023 Brockage gold sovereign, and we had a very interesting discussion about that, in which I learned something about Brockages, which I certainly didn't know before. Kevin actually had some doubts about it being genuine, but I'm perfectly confident in the provenance of it because one of our staff found it in a monster box of 500 bullion sovereigns, which we were checking through, and we do random checks on most incoming coins. Kevin, quite rightly, still wanted to apply his own knowledge and expertise to that, and that's interesting. So it will be a meeting of 2 minds. Now, he kindly offered to fully appraise and test that for us if we were happy to leave it with them for at least a few weeks. So we accepted. It would be stupid not to. It wasn't our purpose of taking it there to actually get an appraisal. It was to show them, because I was sure the museum staff would want to see, a recent modern Brockage sovereign, and probably the production people would like to see it as well, because I'm sure it's something they don't see very often. Certainly not on gold sovereigns. So that's on its jollies in Clantricent, and we'll get it back in a few weeks with a bit of luck. I also asked Kevin, could I see their collection of Charles I gold unites? I'd brought one with us because we'd been offered one, which we're in process of buying, but we had some doubts and reservations. Our daughter Juliana had catalogued it and discussed it and examined the coin closely, but she wanted a second opinion from me because it's got some kind of weird looking raised line. They look a bit like worm casts in sand. It's probably not a very good description. We'll show you a photo. And if that was on a modern sovereign, that would be a loud alarm bell ringing that it had been cast or made from a counterfeit die or something like that. But we're talking about what, 400-year-old, am I right? Is it 400 years old? Yep. Hammered gold coins, so the production was different. Now, if we had some Charles gold units in stock, we could have compared with our own, but unfortunately we didn't. So looking at the ones the Royal Mint had was very helpful, and they've got more than we've ever had. And having looked at theirs, nearly every specimen they'd got had got very similar baselines. Kevin called them striations, but I usually reserve that for straight lines. So I'm perfectly happy that coin house is genuine. So it's nice to be able to look at other material like that. Basically, it's extending our experience. Dr. Clancy also offered to fully check our coin if we wanted, along with our brockage. So that's also joined our brockage sovereign on a few weeks holiday in Clantrisant. Hope the weather's nice. The museum is now in a different building, not the same one as in my last visit when Graham Dyer was the chief curator, and that's longer ago than I thought, but then nearly everything is nowadays. There were still lots of Swan cabinets in there, which most people probably don't know, but we'll try and show you a photo. But it also got some new Lindner plastic ones, which are also good, and they're practical. And lots more storage and lots of things that we didn't actually get to see. Now, while I was looking at the sovereign trays, firstly, I couldn't see their earliest sovereign, which is probably 1489, Henry VII, because that's out in the main display area at the visitor centre. I have seen it because I saw it on day one when it opened, whatever year that was. But while I was looking at their early modern sovereigns, I asked to see early Victoria shields, because I wanted to look at a couple of their 1838s. Now, I was surprised because they appear not to have any 1838s. We're going to have to go to New York to the Smithsonian Institution. Hang on, is it New York or is it Washington? I have to go to the right place, because they have at least two. That's how Smithson got the original funding over to the institution in 1838. Then they melted them all down, except for two. Anyway, I did get to see a very interesting early Victorian shield sovereign. And let's pause for a second. Anybody want to guess what date it was? 1837. I was astounded. Because I was not aware that 1837 Victoria sovereigns existed. Pretty sure William IV do, but Victoria, no. I thought their first coin was 1838. It was undoubtedly a pattern, but it was really exciting to see. Real eye-opener for me. We also got to have some very interesting discussions, really nice sort of informal chat about lots of other things, coins, the Royal Mint, all sorts of stuff. I didn't get to meet Graham Dyer, despite hoping to. He joined the Royal Mint in 1961, and although he officially retired in 2003, believe it or not, they can't get rid of him. And he keeps going back in from his retirement days off, and he's now the senior research curator. And I think it's a two-sided thing. He's doing some work for them, and he's also using the museum to actually finish some of his research off, and I'm pretty sure either writing a few books or joining up the papers he's already done and getting them published as books. That'll be interesting. I can understand Graham not wanting to leave the place. I could quite happily spend a whole year in their museum. I've got that thing in my brain. I'd be learning new things every day. Anyway, I also think that Ali, who was with us the whole time, found her visit to the museum educational I certainly hope so anyway. After that, we grabbed some quick lunch at the Royal Mint Experience Cafe, and I had minted lamb burger. What else would you have at the Royal Mint? There's one thing I've got to say about the Royal Mint Experience. It's very good, but personally, I preferred the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Oh, I won't attempt to sing or play the guitar either, which would be terrible, and you'd switch this video off in droves. We had been planning to break our journey home back at Goldstone Hall in Shropshire, but turns out they were holding a wake for about 300 guests and didn't have room to accommodate us. There were only 4 guests when we stayed on our way down. I suggested we could sleep in the big white marquee they'd got in the front garden, but they declined very politely. Perhaps we should have tried to gate crash, but no, we did the sensible thing and drove straight home instead. Yeah, wonderful journey, very long. It always seems very long from the Royal Mint to home and back. Google Maps told us that it was something like 700 odd miles a whole, and like 14 plus hours of driving. With stops, that must have been 16 or 17 hours or something, like 2 whole days' work, really, just driving. Good job we went in Jane's car, it's faster than mine, and we did share the driving a little bit. So, was this still Friday? What day was it? Yeah, it was still Friday, this. I'm losing track of time. On the journey home, and when we got home, my cold was feeling worse, and I was starting to think, could it be COVID? We got home. Our son actually, I think, suggested, or maybe Jane did, that I took a COVID test, and I did, and it was positive. Yeah, fully vaccinated. I've had every COVID vaccine and booster that was available from the first day I could. I've even had COVID once before, so my immunity level should be high. Jane had COVID as well, caught it from me one time, not this time. I'm aware of recent resurgences, and I know viruses mutate. So as soon as I got home and we did the COVID test, I started to self-isolate, which is why I'm talking to you, because I haven't had anybody else to talk to for days now. Sleeping in our bedroom, I have to wear a mask between rooms. James moved to a spare bedroom very sensibly. She's still negative and keeps testing, so I hope that she doesn't catch it from me. Our son Duncan, who's quite health conscious and very sensible about things, prodded me that to use our oximeter, which I did. So yes, we got that out, and I tried it out, and I can't see myself on screen, so hope you can. But there we go, and that's a bit low. Oh, that's better. Yeah, my heart rate down about 64, 65. My blood oxygen level 98, 99%, which is good, and that's what it was on the day, so it's good. I should say my watch also has a blood oxygen measure on, and besides everything else, tells me when to stand up, sit down, go to sleep, wake up, how much exercise, how many steps I've done. Really good. So that was it. An early night and a lie-in in the morning. So Saturday, took things easy, deliberately. I think on Saturday I was maybe starting to write the script for this, because I still had nobody to talk to. Did my blood oxygen level again mid-morning. I've done it a few times, and actually got a very low reading, about 90%. And I don't know if anybody out there knows, but that's a low threshold. It's normally 95 to 100. 90% is like an amber warning. If it goes down to 80%, it's like a red warning, danger sign. Get yourself off to hospital. As it happened, Maybe it was just a blip, but it stayed on about 90%, 91% for quite a while. A few hours later, it recovered to about 98% later in the day, so I'm okay, which is all good stuff. A bit worrying though when you get a reading like that, because I think, ooh, am I going to be okay? Anyway, I survived, as you can probably tell. Here we go. Sunday, surprisingly, a really nice, hot, sunny day in Blackpool. Did a lot more rest, sat out in the sun, went out for a walk on Cleveland's Promenade. Later, I managed to stay awake to watch the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. And I must say, Lewis Hamilton winning felt like a good omen to me. A little bit like me, 1.1 billion I got on the pinball machine. And there's something here, an interesting ethical point. I mean, some people might think, oh, the LBMA thing, we got together with competitors. We're kind of conspiring to actually make more money out of investors and collectors and what have you. It's not like that at all. It's highly technical. And the networking we did there is very useful. And I do a comparison here with the F1, because if you looked at the winners bit after the race, you could see the two of them there chatting away. It seems to be common knowledge. Most Formula One drivers do socialise, they do chat, they're very friendly and helpful. I'm not surprised, because they are sharing the same risks and the same problems, so they do chat, and most of them are very friendly. On track, they are very fierce competitors, and certainly most of the people that we met at the dinner are some of my competitors there, and we're in strong competition with them. But when it comes to something social, we treat each other with courtesy, respect, cooperation over shared risks and shared problems. So all good stuff as far as I'm concerned. So Monday I was feeling much better and more positive. Unfortunately, my COVID test was also still positive, which is a negative note, really, isn't it? So on that, is it a positive note? I was thinking of giving you a quick summary of what we talked about, but I think instead of that, I should perhaps invite you listeners and viewers out there to tell us what your highlight of the event would have been. Would it have been the high score on the pinball machine? Would it have been a night at Goldstone Hall? Would it have been the long drive down the motorway? Oh, some people enjoy driving, don't they? Would it have been a night at the Petersham? Would it have been a trip on the tube in London? Would it be dropping into the London Bullion Market Association? I don't know. Would it be having dinner at the N restaurant? Would it have been a visit to the Royal Mint Museum? Would it have been a visit to Chard's new Hatton Garden London office at number 100 Hatton Garden? We're not open yet. We're planning to have a soft opening in August, so we will be expecting our first visitors then. I mean, Blackpool and Hammerside will remain our main operating location. London will be more a meeting place for customers. We will be able to do some collections from there. But basically, it's to meet customers. It's an office, a representative office, let me call it, rather than a showroom. We will have some bullion coin down there to show people. We won't have much numismatic there. Anyway, I'm happy in a bit. If that's on anybody's highlights list, what I'd say is pop your highlights down in the comments down below if you like. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please hit subscribe if you want more of this. Thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down if you don't. And please do feel free to comment, ask questions. So that really is all for now. Thanks again. See you very soon.